Good morning, everybody. We'll begin today's session. The first question for the day. Two friendly bugs were on their usual walk in the northeast direction. When the sun was in the east, they had an argument, and one of them turned 45-degree anti-clockwise and walked away. Which of the image shows the correct representation of the shadow as viewed from a person from the top? What we know here is we now in all the options we don't know which the north direction is, but we also know that the bugs were actually moving in the northeast direction. Okay, so agar ye upar wala, sorry. So if I just first draw the quadrant, this happens to be like that. Within that, if this is the north, ये साउथ होगा, ये वेस्ट होगा और ये ईस्ट होगा आपका. What we know here is we already know that the bugs were first moving in the northeast direction. From this, one person turned 45-degree anti-clockwise and then started walking. After they had an argument. So one will be facing like this. So obviously one bug will be facing the north and one bug will be facing the northeast. All right. This is what the condition is. If we know, we also know that east direction से light आ रही है, so light will be coming from this direction, which means उसका जो shadow गिरेगा, or it can be also this way, उनका जो shadow गिरेगा वो इसके side पे ऐसे गिरेगा या ऊपर के side पे ऐसे गिरेगा. Okay, I mean, I don't want to draw the shadow exactly because it's an arrow here, but it will be somewhere on the west side basically. Okay, or the southwest, the southwest or the west side, either of them. Okay, so we have this much information. Now, when I look at the options, which of this correctly represents the shadow is what I have to find. When I look at the options here, A में आपका shadow यहाँ से sun यहाँ पे है तो shadow opposite side पे गिर रहा है, which means that sun is in the west side, so ये गलत है. B में it's fine, not a problem. Where in case of B, this could be the north direction, this could be the northeast direction. And then the shadow, if it is coming from this side, from the east side here, sorry, like this, तो ये shadow का जो position है वो सही है, so B is fine. With case of option C, again it's a rotated version of A itself, which means shadow आपका west side से गिर रहा है, so ये गलत है. With case of option D, it's a rotated version of B, actually, if you observe it very carefully. In which case, this points to the north east direction and this points to the north direction, rotated like that. So D is correct. So both option B and D are correct in this case. Okay, we'll move to the next one. If drasoglyptive means wood board, prosoplots means body study, glyptive drasi means food wood, drasovulch means digital screen. What does screen size mean? How will you code screen size is what is asked, okay? If you observe, okay, now let's do this. If you observe the words here, wood board, body study, food wood, digital screen, there are two sets of words, all right? Likewise, we also see the set of words happening here. Droso, glyptive, prosoplutes, glyptive, drasi, dressovults. Okay. Now, all I have to do is find the common parts. Both of them have common parts. जिसमें wood is common. एक में आगे है, एक में पीछे है. जब इन दोनों का common part is what? इन दोनों का common part is in the coded language is glyptive. Glyptive is the one which is common in both. ओके एक जहां पे वुड पीछे है वहां पे ग्लिटिव आगे है, जहां पे वुड आगे है वहां पे ग्लिटिव पीछे है, which means that it inverses. Where whatever is a correlated word, if it is in the front, the coded word will happen in the corresponding coded word will happen in the back end. All right, this is very clear. So we are given the word screen and size. Screen का coding language क्या होगा? Screen का coding language will be Driso. Sorry, Driso. Why Driso? Because screen पीछे है, Driso is in the front. That's why. And screen size है, screen आगे है, so पीछे something and then Driso, DRESSO should come. So actually A और B आपके दोनों ऑप्शन गलत है, जिसमें Driso is in the front. Okay. विथ केस ऑफ ऑप्शन सी और डी जो बच जाते हैं, एक में आगे आइसिक है और ड्रेसो है. नाउ ड्रेसो आई ऑलरेडी नो, ड्रेसो मीन्स बोर्ड. ड्रेसो का कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग वर्ड इज बोर्ड. सो डी गलत है, सी इज द करेक्ट आंसर. ओके, मूव टू द नेक्स्ट वन. An opaque circular disc is parallel to the tabletop. A beam of sunlight casts a shadow on the table as shown in the figure. Which of the option represents the shape of the shadow as shown from the top of the table? ये एक डिस्क है. Sunlight is falling at 45 degree approximately. If you see, the rays are parallel. Okay, sun rays are always parallel. तो इसका circular disc का shadow ये टेबल के ऊपर कैसा गिरेगा वो ढूंढना है हमको. Okay. When the sun rays fall, actually because it's sunlight and because it is 45 degree, the shadow cast on the table will have actually circular disc only. There won't be any deformation because your disc is parallel to the tabletop. So that's why option C is the one which is the correct answer. Okay, we'll move to the next one. Front and back views of a solid object are shown. Which of the option can be folded to form this solid? हमको front दिया है और back दिया है एक solid का. हमको उसका surface development. When you open this solid, what kind of surface development we'll get? वो ढूंढना है. One answer is correct here. Okay. Here, now let's do this. Here, if you observe the solid, there are two pink edges, two pink rectangles, and two green rectangles here. Okay. Option A में we have two pink but we just have one green, so A गलत है. While option C में there are three pink and one green, so C भी गलत है. Between B and D, if I were to look at the surface development, there will actually be an overlap that will be happening for this part, which means that there is one less flap happening. So D is wrong and B is the one which is the correct answer. Okay, we'll move to the next one. Shown below is a paint splatter on a wall surface. A paint squeegee is pulled over it. Which of the option correctly represents a part of the pattern that is formed? There's a squeegee that is moving over the paint splatter. We have to find which of the pattern that will be formed. Here, when I just try to trace the lines that will be going through, I can find that ये वाला इतना बड़ा patch होगा बीच में of that paint, followed by one line here and one line here. Okay. Option A में we have two lines, sorry, three lines, so A गलत है. B, C और D are fine. Within B, C and D, if you look at the other lines which are happening, तो कौन से लाइन फॉर्म होंगे? ये होगा, इसका भी लाइन होगा, इसका भी लाइन होगा, इसका भी लाइन होगा and इसका भी लाइन होगा. So there are 5 lines that will be formed. All B, C and D are 5 lines on the right side, but the spacing is problematic with B and C. We don't have any space जहाँ पे इतना सारा spacing आ सके आपका. So that's why option B and C are wrong and D is the one which is the correct answer. Okay, we'll move to the next one. Which of the option will replace the question now? Okay. Here we are given some sequence. We have to identify यहाँ पे कौन सा आएगा. Okay. If you look at the sequence, this edge ये थोड़ा rotate हो रहा है towards this side anti-clockwise, little bit again anti-clockwise, little bit again anti-clockwise. So यहाँ पे ये यही यहाँ कहीं पे आना चाहिए या ऐसा थोड़ा कहीं पे आना चाहिए. So B is the one which is the correct answer. Okay. We'll move to the next one. Identify the correct representation of lighting for this scene. Given the lighting strike is the only source. Lighting strike is the only source and we have to identify the correct representation of lightning rendering here. Okay. Now it's a lightning strike, which means कि जहाँ वो, and that is the only light source, which means जहाँ पे वो light source गिरेगा वहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा lit होगा. A में it's fine because ये दोनों building के बीच में गिर रहा है light आपका, and this building and this building, and then that is the only lit part followed by the other gradations of color. So A is fine, not a problem. With case of B, ये वाला आपका lit surface है. C में भी same चीज हो रहा है, ये lit है. जबकि आगे lightning नहीं गिर रहा है, उसके पीछे lightning गिर रहा है. So obviously this has to be dark. So B and C both are wrong. With case of option D, लाइटिंग अगर ये इन दोनों बिल्डिंग के बीच में गिर रहा है तो आपका पीछे वाला फसाड इतना लिट नहीं होगा, ये फसाड ज्यादा लिट होगा. So that's why D is also wrong and A is the one which is the correct answer. Okay, we'll move to the next one. Which of the following lake has the biggest area? Okay, which has the largest area is what you have to find. This is very logical. You just have to break it up into grids and you can count the grids. Or visually also it's very easy to tell that D is the one which has the greatest area. Okay, B and C are similar. The competition is between A and D. Obviously, you can compare them. You can also look at it as if I just add or subtract certain blocks from here and put it here. Also, you'll know that D is the bigger area. Okay, go to the next one. हमको ये इमेज दिया है, हमको ढूंढना है कि इसमें से कौन सा सिलुएट इज कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग टू दिस इमेज. ओके, here what we will do is we will compare all the options together. When you compare all the options together, you will find that C में ये part कुछ missing है यहाँ पे, जो A, B और D में है. This part will be white as seen from here, so C गलत है. A, B और D when you compare, what you will observe is A में ये वाला part missing है जो यहाँ पे होना चाहिए, जो B और D में है, so A will be wrong. B or D, when I compare, I will observe that this part is little bit different between B and D. Hand दिख रहा है B में, D में वो hand नहीं दिख रहा है. Actually, that part happens here and the hand will be there, so D is wrong and B is the one which is the correct answer. Okay, we'll move to the next one. 3 rings are shown in the figure. They roll in the specified direction and stop when the centers of all the rings coincide at the line XX dash. What pattern would they make? Okay. Now, when the rings, if you look at the position of all the 3 rings, iska or iska position is almost same, which means they are making the same number of rotation. Of course, the direction is different. Or iska is double hai. Now, if you observe the kind of rotation that this ring will make will be 90 degree. Quarter circle here, ये वाला distance. तो ये अगर 90 डिग्री है तो ये जो सर्कल है उसमें ये वाला रिंग है should come actually here 90 डिग्री रोटेशन करेंगे तो फर्दर ये वाला डबल होगा सो ये 180 डिग्री घूमेगा सो दिस लाइन विल एक्चुअली हैपन this line will actually happen somewhere here और एक्चुअली वो वाला जो रिंग है वो मैंने गलत ड्रॉ किया था. Let me just rectify that. ये 90 डिग्री ऐसा है तो ऐसा आएगा आपका. ओके, एंड ये वाला अगेन 90 डिग्री रोटेट होगा बट इन दैट साइड, सो दिस विल बी समवेयर लाइक दिस. सो ऑप्शन बी इज द वन विच इज द करेक्ट आंसर. ओके, मूव टू द नेक्स्ट वन. Figure shows a cloth line attached to 4 independent pulleys, P, Q, R, S. Which of the option represents the correct rotation of the pulley that would result in lowering? We have to lower the cloth line down, which will result in lowering the cloth line. Okay? पुलिस दिए है, हमको क्लॉथ लाइन नीचे लानी है, तो नीचे लाने के लिए वो पुलिस किस डायरेक्शन में रोटेट होंगे वो हमको ढूंढना है. ओके, सो दिस इज द वेरियस पुलिस. आई एम जस्ट ड्राइंग अ स्कीमेटिक. This is P, S, Q, and R. If you observe here, the P1, the line 1, the knot जहाँ पे नीचे जाना चाहिए, it's connected to S. So if this has to go down, in that case, S has to rotate like this, तो ही ये नीचे जाएगा. If S rotates like this, P also should rotate like that. In clockwise direction, so P and S का direction clockwise होना चाहिए. So A and C are fine, B is wrong and D is also wrong. If you observe this knot, P से वो नीचे जा रहा है and फिर ऊपर जा रहा है. So this knot which is there will actually come here and then it attaches to the cloth line here and then goes to Q. Okay, and then Q का फिर वो अटैच हो रहा है R से. Now if this is moving upward, तो ये नीचे ऐसे इसका रोटेशन ऐसे जाएगा, ये ऐसे जाएगा तो Q एंटी क्लॉकवाइज रोटेट होगा and R भी एंटी क्लॉकवाइज रोटेट होगा. So A is wrong and C is the one which is the correct answer. Yeah. We'll move to the next one now. Which of the option will replace this question mark that is given? Which of the option will replace this question mark here? The correct answer here is option A. Okay. Assume that the English alphabet are redesigned and then new alphabet had alternating uppercase and lowercase. The alphabet starts with uppercase A and all the uppercases were rotated at clockwise and by 90 degrees and all lower cases were rotated anti-clockwise by 90 degrees. Okay, तो help कैसे लिखेंगे? Help वाला जो आपका है उसमें E is the only one which is a odd number and all odd numbers are uppercase, odd number position. So E will be in uppercase and E will be rotating clockwise. So E ऐसा दिखेगा आपका. Okay, so option B गलत है. A, C और D में they are fine. Sorry, A, C और D में C is the one which is problematic because of E, and A and D needs to be checked down. Now, when you look at A and D, H, L और P का जो पोजीशन है उसमें एक H वाला जो पार्ट है वो एंटी क्लॉकवाइज है एंड दिस इज क्लॉकवाइज. नाउ इट कैन नॉट हैपन बिकॉज सब लोअर केसेस एक ही डायरेक्शन में एंटी क्लॉकवाइज में रोटेट हो रहा है. सो डी गलत है एंड ए इज द वन विच इज द करेक्ट आंसर. ओके, विल मूव टू द नेक्स्ट वन. इन द फिगर बिलो विच ऑफ द ऑप्शन विल रिप्लेस द क्वेश्चन मार्क? यहाँ पे कौन सा फिगर आएगा? In this case, when I look at the matrix, what happens is जो middle वाला part है, it's the common part. ये दोनों का जो भी common lines है center के वो यहाँ पे आ रही है. Versus बाहर वाली lines are addition in nature. They are adding each other. So irrespective of common, not common, they just add together and they get the outer body. So यहाँ पे the outer body will be a hexagon. Like we see here, because ये है पूरा part, सिर्फ ये line missing है जो यहाँ से आ जाएगी. And then the middle part is going to be intersection. So इतना ही आएगा. So correct answer is option B. Okay. I will end today's session with this. Thank you so much for your time.